The night was calm, but inside the city, something unusual was happening. People were walking fast, cars were honking loudly, and the cold wind was moving through the empty streets. It felt like the city was hiding a secret that was ready to explode. And on this strange night, billionaire CEO of Kingston found himself walking alone in the park, far away from the bright lights of his company's tall building. Arav was a man everyone talked about: powerful, young, successful, and always one step ahead of his enemies. Reporters called him the Golden CEO. Investors trusted him blindly. But no one knew the truth behind his cold smile. Inside, Arav felt tired, exhausted from the endless wars of business. Tonight, he wanted silence. He wanted peace. He wanted to breathe without thinking about money, meetings, or strategies. As he walked slowly through the park, he wondered if anyone in this world truly knew him. His employees feared him. His partners respected him. But no one ever cared about the man inside the suit. That lonely thought followed him like a shadow. The park was almost empty. Only the sound of leaves moving in the wind and the soft water flowing in the lake filled the air. Then suddenly Arav stopped. Right there, under an old lamppost, on a bench that most people ignored, someone was sleeping. A girl. She was curled up inside a thin blanket. Her clothes were old, her hair messy, and her shoes almost torn apart. The cold night air touched her skin, but she didn't wake up. Arav felt confused. A strange feeling pulled him closer. Why? He didn't know. He had seen thousands of people in his life. Rich people. Poor people. Politicians. Business owners. Celebrities. But something about this girl felt different, almost like she carried a story that was hiding under her closed eyes. Arav stepped forward slowly, careful not to scare her. The dim light from the lamp fell on her face. She looked peaceful, innocent, like someone who didn't belong in the darkness of the streets. Who is she? He whispered to himself. Just then, he saw something beside her: a small notebook. The cover was dirty, but the edges were neatly kept, as if it was her only treasure. Before he could think, the girl moved. Her eyes opened suddenly, sharp and scared. She looked around, ready to run. When she saw Arav, she froze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. She stared at him, confused and defensive. He stared back, shocked by how young she looked. I didn't mean to scare you, Arav said softly, which was surprising even to himself. His voice never sounded this gentle, not even in board meetings. The girl pulled her small bag closer to her chest. She looked like someone who had fought many silent battles, someone who didn't trust easily. You're not supposed to be here this late, Arav said. I don't have anywhere else to go, she replied in a low voice. Arav felt something strange in his heart, something he wasn't used to concern. He noticed her hands shaking from the cold. He took off his long coat and placed it beside her, not forcing her to take it. You can use it if you want, he said. She didn't touch it. Not yet. She studied him silently, trying to understand why a stranger, especially a rich man, would act kind. What's your name? Arav asked. Leah, she whispered. Arav repeated the name in his mind. It suited her. Simple. Soft. Strong. Then, unexpectedly, the wind blew her notebook open. Several pages flipped, revealing drawings, charts, and ideas written in clean handwriting. Arav's eyes stayed on the pages for a second. The designs were sharp. The business concepts were smart. Too smart for someone living on the streets. Leah quickly grabbed her notebook and hid it. Sorry, Arav said. I didn't mean to look. It's okay, she replied. But her voice held pain, deep pain, pain from secrets she wasn't ready to share. Arav walked around the bench once, trying to understand why he felt so connected to this stranger. Why did she look so familiar? Why did he feel like he had seen those eyes somewhere before? He took a breath, deciding to leave her alone. But just as he turned to go, he heard a soft sound behind him. "Why did you stop here?" Leah asked. Arav didn't turn back. "I don't know," he answered honestly. "Maybe because you looked like you needed someone." Silence. A long, silent moment. Arav finally walked away, but his heart felt heavier than before. He had everything: money, fame, success, but for the first time in years, he felt something different. Something he couldn't explain. Behind him, Leah looked at his coat resting on the bench. For the first time in a long time, someone had shown her kindness without expecting anything. She slowly pulled the coat around her shoulders. It was warm. Strangely comforting. Neither of them knew it yet. But this small moment, this small night, was the beginning of a war. A war between their worlds, their fears, their secrets, and their hearts. A war that neither of them expected. A war that would change everything. The sun rose slowly, painting the sky with soft orange light. Birds were beginning to wake, but Leah had barely slept. Arav's coat was still wrapped around her shoulders. It felt warm, safe, and strange. People didn't give her things. People didn't care. But last night, a stranger had stopped, just for her. She opened her notebook and ran her fingers gently over the pages. Every drawing, every idea, every written thought inside it came from her old life, her life before everything fell apart. Leah once lived in a small but happy home with her father. He was a kind man, always encouraging her to dream big. He taught her how to think like a leader, how to solve problems, and how to believe in herself. But one day, everything changed. A sudden heart attack took him away, leaving her alone in a world that didn't care. And the people she trusted, her relatives, took advantage. They took her home. They sold her father's shop. They pushed her out, leaving her on the streets with nothing but her notebook and broken dreams. Leah learned to survive by staying invisible. She trusted no one. She avoided everyone. That is why last night confused her. Why had Arav stopped? Why had he given her his coat? Rich people never cared about her kind. So why him? She closed the notebook and stood up. She had no idea that at the same time, Arav Kingston sat in his luxurious office, staring out of the glass window, but his mind was still at that park bench. Arav tried to focus on his meeting, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the girl with the tired eyes and the brilliant notebook. His assistant knocked on his door. "Sir, the board is waiting for your decision." Arav didn't respond immediately. He was thinking about Leah. Her words. Her fear. Her silence. Why was he thinking about a stranger more than $1 billion deal? He shook his head, stood up, and walked toward the boardroom. The board members were seated like an army of serious faces. As soon as Arav entered, they began complaining. "Sir, the company is losing control. Investors want immediate action. We need you to focus." Focus. That was exactly the problem. Arav had spent his whole life focusing on money, on growth, on power. But last night, something inside him changed quietly, like a locked door opening for the first time. After the meeting, Arav left early. His driver was surprised when he ordered, "Take me to the park." The driver didn't ask questions. Billionaires always had secrets. When Arav arrived, the bench was empty. No Leah. Only the old lamppost, the cold breeze, and the silence. He waited. Minutes turned into an hour. Was she okay? Did something happen to her? Just as he turned to leave, he heard footsteps behind him. Leah walked slowly toward the bench, holding her notebook close to her chest. She stopped when she saw Arav. "You, Came back, she asked softly. I wanted to check if you're all right, Arav said. Leah didn't know what to say. She wasn't used to kindness. She sat down carefully on the bench, leaving space between them. For a moment, they just sat in silence. Arav noticed her notebook again. It seems important, he said. It's all I have left, Leah replied. Arav didn't speak. Something in her voice made his chest tighten. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened the notebook. She turned a few pages and showed him one drawing. It was a brilliant design, a simple but clever product idea that could solve a big problem in the market. Arav stared at it. You made this? He asked. Yes. Do you know how valuable this is? It's just an idea, she smiled quietly, but the smile held sadness. No, Arav said. It's talent. Leah swallowed hard. She had heard those words before from her father. No one else ever said that to her again. You could change the world with these ideas, Arav added. I can't even change my own life, Leah whispered. Arav felt something shift inside him. Her pain, her strength, her honesty, everything about her felt real in a way nothing else in his life ever did. Leah, he asked slowly, what happened to you? She looked down at her hands. I lost everything. Arav didn't push. He didn't force her to talk. But tears slowly filled her eyes as she continued. My father died. They took my home. I had no money. No support. No place to sleep. People on the streets, they treated me like trash. They pushed me away. They never listened. Her voice broke. And then I stopped hoping. Arav's jaw tightened. Not in anger at her, but at the world that failed her. You deserve better, he said. Leah gave a sad laugh. Better doesn't happen to people like me. Arav turned toward her. You don't know what can happen. She looked at him, confused, almost afraid to believe. Arav continued, you're stronger than most people I know. Smarter too. And talent like yours, doesn't belong on a bench. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was warm. For the first time in years, Leah felt seen. Not judged. Not pitied. Seen. But she didn't know that this moment of trust was the beginning of trouble. In the shadows of the park, a man secretly took a picture of them or of Kingston sitting beside a homeless girl. A picture that would soon shake both of their worlds. A picture that would start the real storm. Days passed, but Arav couldn't stop thinking about Leah. Her small, quiet presence had left a mark on him. In his skyscraper office, surrounded by gold and glass, her image haunted him more than the numbers on his screen or the endless emails from his board. He wanted to see her again. Not because of pity. Not because he felt obligated. But because he wanted to understand her. To know her story. To make sure she was safe. So, he returned to the park that night. And Leah was there. Sitting on the same bench, wrapped in last night's coat. Her notebook lay on her lap, pages slightly torn from frequent use. Arav sat beside her, careful to leave space, as always. He offered nothing this time, no coat, no words of power. Just silence. You came back, Leah said quietly, almost accusing, almost amazed. I wanted to know you're all right, Arav said simply. That's all. They sat together, letting the cold night air pass around them. But this time, the silence was not heavy. It felt comfortable. Slowly, Leah opened her notebook. She hesitated but then showed Arav a new page, sketches of small machines, creative designs, plans for businesses. The work was brilliant. You do this all by yourself? Arav asked. Yes, she whispered. It's my world, the only world that listens to me. Arav nodded. He understood. She had built a small universe with nothing but paper and dreams. And in that universe, she was safe. I want to help, he said. Leah froze. Why? No one helps someone like me. People like you just walk past us. I'm not most people, Arav said. His voice was firm, but kind. I don't just walk past. For the first time, Leah looked at him fully. Not with suspicion. Not with fear. But with curiosity. Days turned into weeks. Arav found excuses to visit the park every evening. Sometimes he brought books, sometimes a warm meal. Slowly, Leah began to trust him. She learned that he didn't judge her. He didn't ask about her past unless she wanted to. He listened. And when she spoke, he believed her. And in return, Arav learned about her intelligence. Her creativity. Her resilience. Leah wasn't just a homeless girl. She was a mind that could outthink some of the best professionals in his company. And every time she smiled, even faintly, something inside him softened. But outside the park, the world was not so kind. Arav's visits did not go unnoticed. One night, a reporter saw him leaving the park with no explanation. By morning, rumors spread like wildfire. The CEO is meeting a homeless girl. Why? Is this a PR stunt? What is Arav Kingston hiding? Inside his company, his board began to worry. Sir, this can affect the company's image, one director said. The investors will not like this. Arav did not care. Not yet. Do you think they would understand? The director asked. They don't need to, Arav replied. His eyes were distant, thinking of Leah sitting on that park bench. I just need to protect her. Meanwhile, Leah was unaware of the growing storm. She was only beginning to understand that Arav's world was dangerous, a world she had no experience in. One evening, Arav handed her a small notebook cover. To keep your ideas safe, he said. Leah looked at him, hesitant. Why are you helping me so much? Because no one deserves to be invisible, he said. And you are far from invisible. For the first time, Leah felt hope. Something she hadn't felt in years. But the world outside the park had already started watching them. Hidden cameras, whispers among employees, and social media posts began spreading images and questions. Soon, the rumors would become a storm, one that would not just threaten Leah, but Arav himself. Despite the danger, something had changed between them. A bond had formed. It was quiet. It was fragile. But it was real. Arav began to realize that Leah's strength was not just in her ideas, but in her spirit. And Leah began to realize that Arav's strength was not just in his money, but in his willingness to care when no one else would. And so, every evening, they met. They talked. They laughed softly. They shared small stories. No one in the world could understand it. Not the board. Not the media. Not even Leah's few friends from the streets. It was a connection that defied their worlds. But beneath the calm, a storm was brewing. Someone was watching. Someone who did not want a billionaire and a homeless girl to form a bond. And soon, that storm would strike. Arav didn't know it yet. Leah didn't know it yet. But their unlikely bond, so fragile, so new, was about to be tested. A test that could break them, or change everything. Leah had never felt so safe, and yet the world was closing in around her. The nights in the park with Arav were the only moments when she could breathe. But the whispers of reality were growing louder every day. One morning, she woke to find her notebook missing. Panic surged through her chest. That notebook wasn't just paper, it was her past, her dreams, and her only proof that she still had worth. Arav arrived soon after, looking serious. His usual calm presence was replaced by tension. They took it, Leah said, her voice trembling. I'll find it, Arav promised. But even he felt a strange knot in his stomach. This was bigger than a stolen notebook. Someone wanted to hurt her, and perhaps, by extension, him. The truth came faster than either of them expected. Leah's relatives, the ones who had taken everything from her years ago, had discovered her. They had seen her with Arav, the powerful CEO who controlled billions. They were furious. Not only had she survived on the streets, but now she had a connection to someone who could destroy their plans. And they would not allow that. Rumors began spreading online. Anonymous posts painted Leah as a scammer, someone using Arav for his money. The media picked up the story quickly. CEO falls for mysterious girl, who is she? Billionaire at risk, homeless girl controversy explodes. The board at Arav's company was in chaos. Investors called repeatedly, demanding answers. Lawyers drafted statements. Public relations teams scrambled. And through it all, Leah hid. She stopped going to the park. She avoided Arav's calls. She wanted to protect him, but she also wanted to disappear. Arav could not leave it like that. He knew that Leah's absence wasn't because she didn't trust him, it was because she felt guilty. Guilty for the chaos surrounding his life. He hired private investigators, used every resource at his disposal, and searched the city. Finally, he found her at an emergency shelter, sitting quietly in a corner, hugging herself. Leah, he said softly, kneeling in front of her. She looked up, her eyes red from crying. I ruined everything, she whispered. You didn't ruin anything, Arav said. His voice was steady, yet filled with emotion. This is not your fault. They made it their fight, not yours. She shook her head. I brought this into your life. I don't belong there. I should leave. Arav reached out and took her hand gently. You're not leaving. Not now. Not ever. You saved me before you even knew it. Leah blinked. She didn't understand. Saved you. You were the only one who made me feel human again, Arav said. All the money, all the power, none of it mattered until I saw you. Until I saw your strength. For the first time, Leah believed that someone could see her worth without judgment or expectation. But the storm was not over. Leah's relatives had contacted influential people, trying to damage Arav's reputation further. Threats arrived at his company, and the media continued to twist the story. The board demanded that he cut all ties with Leah to protect the company. Arav refused. I will not abandon her, he said to his lawyers. She has done nothing wrong. And neither has her past. The pressure was immense. Every day brought a new challenge: social media attacks, boardroom threats, and subtle warnings from investors. But Arav's focus remained on Leah. She was no longer just the girl on the bench, she was a person he believed in, someone whose strength and intelligence were unmatched. Leah finally opened up about her past. She shared every betrayal, every stolen possession, every night she had slept in the cold. Arav listened silently, never judging, never interrupting. And when she finished, he told her something she had longed to hear her whole life. You survived everything the world threw at you. That makes you stronger than anyone I know. And now, you will have a chance to rise. With Arav's help, Leah reclaimed her father's property. The relatives who had betrayed her were exposed. Lawyers returned her rightful inheritance. Slowly, her life began to stabilize. But the most important part wasn't money, or property, it was trust. Leah finally trusted Arav fully, and he trusted her in return. Their bond, tested by rumors, threats, and betrayal, had become unbreakable. For Arav, it was more than admiration. He realized he had fallen for her not just because of her intelligence, but because of her courage, her honesty, and the way she had made him see life differently. And for Leah, Arav was not just a protector. He was someone who believed in her when no one else did, someone who treated her like a person, not a problem. The storm outside had left scars, but it had also forged a stronger connection between them. The world could try to tear them apart, but what they had built together was deeper than fear, deeper than rumors, deeper than wealth or status. For the first time in years, Leah smiled freely. And Arav, watching her, felt a warmth he had never known, a sense of peace that even his billions could never buy. But even in that moment of calm, both of them knew the journey was not over. The outside world was still full of challenges, jealous eyes, and people who wanted to see them fail. Yet, they were ready. Together. The unexpected storm had broken their world, and in doing so, it had created a chance for something stronger, something real, and something lasting. After weeks of chaos, the storm finally began to settle. The rumors faded, the board calmed, and the media moved on to other scandals. But for Arav and Leah, the aftermath was only the beginning of something much bigger. Leah had reclaimed her father's property, but more importantly, she had reclaimed her confidence. She walked through the streets she once feared, notebook in hand, head held high. No longer invisible, no longer afraid. She had ideas, intelligence, and now a chance to rise. Arav watched her transformation quietly, with a mixture of pride and admiration. He had never expected that saving someone could feel like being saved in return. The girl on the bench had changed him more than he could ever imagine. "Are you ready?" Arav asked one evening, handing her a business card with the name of his company printed neatly. Leah looked at it, hesitant. "I don't belong there." "You do," Arav said firmly. "Your ideas, your talent, they belong in the world. And I want you to have the chance you deserve." With his encouragement, Leah joined Arav's company. At first, it was intimidating boardrooms filled with suits, meetings, presentations, but she adapted quickly. Every design she had once sketched in her small notebook now became a project. Every idea that had lived only in her mind began to take shape in reality. Her first product launch was a success beyond anyone's expectations. Investors, once skeptical, were amazed by her vision. The same media that had once criticized her now praised her. From the streets to the boardroom, the homeless girl who changed a billion-dollar empire. But Leah didn't let the attention change her. She remained humble, working quietly, learning, and creating. And through it all, Arav remained by her side not as a boss, but as a mentor, friend, and confidant. One evening, after another successful day, Leah and Arav sat together in the park, the same bench where their story had begun. The city lights glimmered around them, calm now, unlike the chaos of the past weeks. "You know," Leah said softly, "I never thought I'd be here. Not in your world. Not with you." Arav smiled. "And I never thought I'd find someone who changes me the way you have." Their eyes met, and for the first time, neither needed words. Their bond had grown stronger than fear, stronger than wealth, stronger than judgment. It was unbreakable. As time passed, Leah's work at the company flourished. She led a new innovation department, mentoring young talent, developing ideas, and creating products that solved real problems. Her life, once filled with struggle and survival, was now full of purpose and hope. Arav and Leah's story became known not just as a tale of love, but of resilience. People began to see that true strength comes not from money or status, but from courage, intelligence, and the willingness to help others. Despite their success, neither forgot the past. The bench in the park remained their secret place, a reminder of the night that changed everything. It was where their worlds collided, where trust began, and where a billionaire learned that kindness could never be bought. Their bond was tested many times after that, challenges at work, jealous competitors, and whispers of the past, but each time, they faced them together. They learned that real trust is forged through trials, and real love grows from respect and understanding. Arav often watched Leah, amazed at how far she had come. "You were meant for greatness," he told her one night. "No," Leah replied with a gentle smile. "We were meant to find each other. That's what made this possible." And he knew she was right. The world had tried to break them. Lies, betrayal, and fear had threatened to pull them apart. But in the end, they rose above it all. Not because of money or power, but because they believed in each other. The final scene shows them walking through the park together, hand in hand. The city around them is quiet, peaceful. They sit on the old bench, looking at the stars above, and for the first time, they feel completely safe, completely understood, and completely together. Arav looks at Leah and smiles. "It all started here," he says. "Yes," Leah replies, resting her head on his shoulder. "And now, it's just the beginning." The story ends not with a goodbye, but with a promise: two hearts, unbroken, two lives, intertwined, and a bond that no storm could ever destroy. From the streets to the boardroom, from loneliness to love, from struggle to triumph, Leah and Arav's story became a legend. A story of hope. A story of courage. A story that proves that even in the darkest nights, light can shine, and sometimes, it comes from the most unexpected places.